Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the Sun in conjunct Chiron in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They were a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make the videos this time around a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up, if you have the Sun in conjunct Chiron in a natal chart, there may be an adjustment, which is the inconjunct, between the basic ones, which is the Sun, and helping and healing others, which is Chiron. Let's say if you have your Chiron in Chiron in Capricorn as an example. Well, you may be inclined to help and heal others in matters with stature in life, social status, the career, attaining ambitions, matters pertaining to public image and reputation. And the thing is, the basic, it's also a disparity and contrast. It could be a lot, one or the other may be very overemphasized. It could be where one may vacillate between wanting to shine, which is the Sun, and assisting others, helping others, which is Chiron, healing other people. It could be a lot of vacillation and distortion of energy between that more egocentric, self-centered Sun, energy, and then, the helping and healing others, which of course, can take the time away, from your basic wants and things that you want to do to stand out, which and shine, which is the Sun. If Chiron, say, is in Libra, the assisting others may be tied in, simply helping others find some kind of peace, balance, harmony, equilibrium in their life. It could be about, matters pertaining, it could be legal matters, or maybe issues with lawsuits that the person may need some assistance on. And the thing is, you just have, the strong, vacillation of energy. And the key is to find, that balance and the equilibrium between, the Sun energy and the energy connected with Chiron. Now, another way that this aspect may manifest in a natal chart, it could be issues with depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron. May have too much or too little effect on one's ego, which is the Sun. Now, if you have Chiron, in Taurus as an example, those issues with depleted, self-worth and self-esteem may be tied in with monetary matters. It could be possessions. It could really emphasize self-worth, because Taurus is the sign associated with self-worth, and it could be matters pertaining to persistence, patience, perseverance as some examples. And the thing is, it could be, when you say too much or too little effect on the ego, those things may either have such a tremendous effect, where it can really damage the ego, or not enough where, where there's not as much motivation to actually do something about, those issues with depleted self-esteem. Now, another way this aspect may be expressed in a natal chart can be, the activities, that are maybe an imbalance between activities associated with the biological father, dominant males, and even children, which is the Sun, and healers, which is Chiron. It could be where one, or there may be too much, time and energy, being expended on, activities that are associated with the biological father, dominant males, and children, or just too much on the healers, whether it's physical or emotional wounds and suffering. If you have your Sun, in the zodiac sign Cancer as an example, the biological father, dominant males, and even children may be Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be people that are very sympathetic, caring, dedicated, devoted, tenacious, protective, introverted. As some examples, if the sun is in Leo, then it could be people that are very dignified, prideful, magnanimous, generous, courageous. It could be those that are attention seeking, could be boastful people, as some examples. And another thing too is that you may, put, at times put, the exorbitant, attention, which is the sun, on dealing with the deepest wound, which is Chiron. And other times it could be just the opposite. You put no attention on this and just forget all about what's going on in terms of the deepest wound that you're contending with, which is Chiron. Let's say if your Chiron is in Virgo, as an example, the deepest wound, could be just with matters of organization, whether it's in your life or what have you, or matters. It could be, whether it's with criticism or just it could be work or employment, related matters, not being able to see the details, the fine print, in matters, maybe not attaining the perfection you wanted in something, the infallibility in some matter. And the thing is, there could also be another way this aspect may pan out in the natal chart. It could also be about too much vitality and energy, which is the sun, on healing the physical and emotional wounds, which is Chiron. And other times there may be none whatsoever. You may feel either completely zapped as far as energy and vitality goes, or you just may choose not to expend that energy due to just being simply apathetic. And the thing is, if you have your Chiron in Sagittarius as an example, there may be some physical related issues and suffering connected with the sciatic nerve, the hips, the thighs. It could be the liver, in some cases. And there could also be, another way, this aspect may be expressed in the natal chart. It could be also where there may be, you may be someone that could be exceptionally sensitive, about, derogatory remarks regarding, the true self and the identity, which is the sun. And then other times you may simply be apathetic regarding those matters. Now, if you have, your sun, in Gemini, that true self identity may be one that's mercurial, or maybe it's, the derogatory remarks may be connected with that, being overly changeable or lacking, persistence. With things, dissipating oneself through lack of an integrating purpose, being too flighty, in matters. And, this is where, you may be more sensitive, regarding, those issues at times. And at other times, you may be, it may be almost to a point where you just don't even care and, ignore these issues completely. Now, another way that this aspect may manifest in the natal chart, it could be where there may be times where you put the intense focus on which is the sun, on physical wounds and suffering, which is Chiron. And other times you may just be completely oblivious to these matters. Let's say if the Chiron is in, your Chiron is in Scorpio as an example, physical related issues, physical, wounds and suffering may be tied in the colon, the prostate, the bladder, the urinary tract, the reproductive system, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.